Hello, beautiful friends. How was May for you? I know that for me, it was really potent. I did so much healing, so much listening in, so much understanding of where I am now in my life, and how I've changed and grown. And I think a lot of us have been going through that kind of assessment and healing journey in recent weeks and months. And that is why I'm excited to sit down for June's readings, because June is full of this very helpful, clarifying, anchoring energy that can really calm us, get us feeling connected to our own story, getting us feeling connected to our internal landscape and how we want to express that externally. There's a lot of soothing energy that's just like, okay, take a breath. We've just rustled up a whole bunch of stuff. Now we want to kind of explore that and see how we want to work with that and how we want to bring some of these new elements that have been rustled in and into the fold, and also what we are getting used to letting go of or releasing or redefining for ourselves. So it's going to be a very supportive month in general. Gemini season is full of magical, potent energy. I think this is going to be great for communicating, for talking, for connecting, for weaving new creative stories and ideas. And, Mercury is going direct right at the beginning of the month. So we're going to start to also, I think, just have a little momentum and pep in our step when it comes to creation and storytelling and all of those beautiful things. And then as we move into the solstice and Cancer season, this is going to be so wonderful for a communion with our souls, with our deepest wishes and desires, with our internal landscape, and what means something to us in this lifetime. By the end of the month, we are going to have 3 planets in retrograde, outer planets, which will be Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto. And I just want to put out there that we don't really need to manage this or look at it too closely. These happen for months and months, every single year. And they're much more about the wide angle lens we take with our journey in this life and a lot less about the nitty gritty details. So that's going to start happening. But what I often find with the outer planet symbolism of these kind of retrogrades is that this is just about us understanding ourselves and seeing with fresh eyes in a bigger way, and kind of understanding our life path in a bigger way. And it's soft, it's subtle, it's kind of behind the scenes. So we're going to start to work with some of that energy as we move through the month of June. And of course, one last note before we get into all 12 signs. This is the month of the solstice. And for me, this is one of my favorite places in the year to check with myself, see where I am. See what I want to bring with me the second half of the year, see what is sloughing away, and just checking in. And like I said, I think this solstice season in general is going to be so great for anchoring in whatever we have just learned via the eclipse season, via the recent Mercury retrograde, if that's something that affected you more deeply. And just incorporating it all. So it's going to be a really, really useful time. As usual with this type of video, I'm going to bring you the nuggets of wisdom I'm feeling for each sign and some questions you can take with you into the month of June if you're feeling like journaling or just walking and thinking about some of the topics that I'm bringing up here. This is my way of kind of still connecting to each one of you while also taking care of my own energy, because any of you who have been following me recently know that I'm going through a big shift in the way I want to do my work and what it means to me and why I do my work. And I'm asking a lot of those questions. And as I do that, I'm kind of letting my work change with me. It's really vulnerable. And sometimes I'm really tired and I just want to hide under the covers and not have to show up for the day. But I do want to show up and see what comes of these chats today. A lot of times when I'm talking about houses and things like that, it is for the rising sign. And it will be useful to watch the rising sign. But this is also about kind of your innate natural energy and whatever energy is calling to you. So feel free to watch, your rising or your sun or your moon or all of them. However you want to do that. I welcome each and every one of these strategies, whatever feels good for you. So let's get into it, my friends. I'm so curious to see what we have in store today. Hello, beautiful Aries. This month is full of magic. We are starting some really big new cycles for you as we adjust to Jupiter being in your sign, as we adjust to Mars being in your sign as well. So you have two big power players working through your sign, adding a lot of energy and vitality to everything. One thing I will say about Jupiter being in your sign is it's like a big spotlight. It can really emphasize what is working in your life, what you're wanting to expand, and what you are definitely kind of over seeing expand and grow, and what you're ready to let go of. I often find that this is a very honest and open energy that can really help us refine what it is that we do actually want to spend our vital life force energy on. And that's going to continue to be a big theme for you as we move through the entirety of June. With all of this new energy, right, with Jupiter starting a new cycle with you, this is going to be a time where a lot of new puzzle pieces are just coming into focus more and more. And that can sometimes be an overwhelm of information, like where to even start, what to do with any of it. So I think an important element of the Aries journey this month is just taking a moment to look around and take in all the information. A lot of times the advice with things like Mars and Jupiter being in your sign is that this is a time to take advantage of it and move as quickly and fast as possible and make everything happen all at once. And I actually give the opposite advice. I want Aries to take care of your vital energy, take care of your internal flame. Yes, be creative, play. There's going to be a full moon in Sagittarius just lighting up the big vision of your life this month. There's going to be a lot of emphasis on nourishing your home environments, your conversations. All these beautiful things are going to be happening, but it's okay to take your time and really assess what it is you want to take with you on the journey, and also just allow these new puzzle pieces that may have come into play, especially since eclipse season, start to incorporate, integrate, and be understood for you and what that means for you as we move into the next season of your life. So some of the questions that I have for you for this June are: what makes your soul sing? What makes it just light up and tingle and just like feel so free and light? It can be anything from watching Irish step dancing videos to going on super long walks, or even just sitting still. Whatever that is, pay attention to that. What would you do if you didn't have to use force of will to get it done? What are the things you would actually do if you no longer felt you had to control yourself, you had to force yourself, you had to move quickly? What are the things that would be left? And is it okay and allowed for you to not know the entire process just yet? You may be able to take certain moves and move through the world in a certain way, but you may not have an understanding of exactly how that's going to play out in 6 months. Is it okay for you to just be here where you are now? Let's see what card wants to come out for my beautiful friends. Page of Pentacles. Okay, this really makes me think of Jupiter in your sign. It makes me think of Mars in your sign. You know, these are gifts. These are the things that can come to help us and nourish us. I think especially as we get into Cancer season and we start working with the Cancer new moon, this is going to be a time where it's important for you to allow others to offer up gifts, support, and help, and to receive that. I think when Page of Pentacles shows up, one of the things we're being asked to learn is receptivity, allowing ourselves to be helped and aided, and being open to that help wanting to come and meet us. So I hope you have a beautiful June, my beautiful, amazing, fiery, feisty friends. Talk to you very soon. My Taurus friends, hello. So we just had a pretty intense Taurus season, so full of growth, so very personal, with the eclipse happening in your sign, with a North Node in your sign at this time. And, this is just a very dynamic time of healing, incorporating, exploring, growing for the Taurus clan in general. This month, one of the things that really stuck out to me is that Venus is moving through your sign for most of the month. All the way through Gemini season, you're going to have your ruling planet Venus with you. She's going to meet up with Uranus this month. And so for me, that immediately sparked this feeling of like, a lot of times we talk about change and kind of the upheaval of it and how intense it can be and how much it's like, we have to do some deep digging and it can be a little disorienting and it can take a lot of energy. But with Venus conjunct Uranus, for me, this is about the pleasure of change and the excitement of change and what changes just give us life. Sometimes there's just a change where it's like, this feels so good. Why didn't I do this sooner? And for me, that's like the high point and the main focus of so much of June for Taurus is what changes, transformation, shifts are just feeling so good. What gives you pleasure in doing that? And there's a lot of clarifying on that as well as Mercury moves direct in your sign this month, right at the beginning of the month. There's also this full moon happening in Sagittarius. And this full moon for you is going to, I think, continue this journey of transformation for Taurus and kind of encourage you to step into changes that feel really, really, really good. And even as we move through Gemini season, your neighboring sign, there's going to be a lot of themes when all the energy is moving through Gemini, the sun, eventually Mercury, Venus will join Gemini. This is going to be a time where thinking about your self-worth and the worthiness you have and changing and transforming in ways that feel so good to you, giving yourself the honor and commitment of knowing that there are changes you can make that are going to give you so much joy and pleasure is, I think, just so liberating and exciting. I feel like I'm going to follow along and just like do some of these practices myself. But some of the questions that came to mind for me in light of what we've just talked about, does change always require pain and intensity? So this is just a question you can ask yourself as you're exploring who you're becoming. Is there kind of this pattern where it feels like it always has to include some form of destruction or intensity? Sometimes, of course, we do have those kinds of change in our lives, of course, but can it also look subtle? Can it also look curious, observant, open? It might be little shifts. It might just be new questions being opened, right? And then I think the even more fun question is, what kind of change would feel good and enlivening right now? What change would just feed your soul? It can be something as simple as waking up at a different time, changing a hangout schedule. I don't know, whatever it is, what is that change that would feed your soul? Because that's where the focus and the emphasis is really going to be during the month of June and during the solstice. Let's see what card wants to come out. Knight of Pentacles. Okay. It's so funny because the energy right now is very dynamic. It's very forward focused. It's so much about like living life and just like going for things for everybody and just kind of looking forward and being less attached to who we've been in the past. But the Knight of Pentacles is cautious, right? The Knight of Pentacles is somebody who sits still and kind of observes, holds back a little bit and, keeps his cards close to his chest. But this goes back to change and joy and pleasure and doing things out of a place of like security and safety and self-trust. I think the Knight of Pentacles for me is about sometimes change can look like just being open and curious and observing all the ingredients around us. For me, Knight of Pentacles is also a message, Taurus, that it was an intense eclipse season. We are learning a lot via the lens of Taurus as a collective. So it's important for you to collect the information that you've just incorporated over the last few weeks and make sure that it's feeling, that you feel like you are letting it move through you and not needing to be in a huge rush. So I hope you have a beautiful June. It's always so good to connect with your energy. Gemini, my best friends in the world. You all are the people that I go to have great conversations with. So this month, happy birthday, Geminis. I am so excited to be in your energy and your season. Of course, I feel like when it's solar return time or an energetic return time, it's always a kind of a time of listening in, taking assessment of where we are, how we're feeling about our growth and our change. There's a lot of introspection that goes on at this time. And for me, one of the things that really stuck out is we are having a lot of energy moving through your sign. The sun, of course, Mercury, your ruling planet, is going to be rejoining you on the 13th. Venus is going to be joining you a little later this month. We have a lot of energy joining you and adding a lot of vitality to your energetic field. Even the full moon will be, of course, in Sagittarius this month, highlighting relationship and connection. So much supportive energy for Geminis here. And one of the ways that I think is going to be really helpful for you in accessing all of that great information and that vitality is to step away from electronics and hyper communication all the time, which I know can feel a little weird, a little scary, but if you can give yourself just some breaks within that, just some moments of rest and reflection in incorporation, give yourself electronics breaks, go out in nature, go create some art, do whatever it is you love to do that doesn't have to do with electronics, you're going to be able to hear the great information about all that beautiful, creative, vital energy that wants to move through you. So it's important you are giving yourself enough quiet so that you can really use your voice in its most beautiful, impactful way as we move through the rest of this year. So some of the questions that came up for me in feeling through your energy are these. What is your definition of success and happiness? Does it include simply being, and also does it include all the emotions we might regularly feel? This is going to be a great time right now during your Gemini season, and as we're exploring your energy so deeply, to just really take the time to define success completely for you and what feels really, really good for you. And that can include bouts of melancholy. It can include times of low energy. It can include simplifying things. It can include putting paint on different walls. I don't know, but just have fun exploring what that really means for you outside of the culturally constructed versions of success. Another question that came up is how connected are you feeling to your physical body and allowing it to give you information, especially as we move into Cancer season this month. It's important to make sure that you get out of your head sometimes and get back into your body. Allow it to give you some really great guidance and intuitive wisdom because it has something it wants to tell you. And finally, one of my favorite questions to ask myself every day pretty much, do you allow yourself to simply exist and know that it's enough? I think, Gemini, you are so talented and so able to communicate, connect, like put pieces together and move. You have a moving energy through the world, but it's also okay for you to allow things to incubate, allow yourself to rest and just be. I think it will help you share your magic in the world much more consistently when you do that. Let's see what card wants to come out. Five of Pentacles, our good friend, the Five of Pentacles. And this is so interesting to me because this is a card of feeling shut out from our connection to something holding us, something loving us, feeling like we are disconnected from people we love or from source or from our own spirits. And when Five of Pentacles shows up, it's almost always a sign that we aren't feeling like we are allowed to exist, and that it's a time to make sure that we're checking in with anything where we are kind of punishing ourselves, or we have world beliefs where our value is really placed on very specific things that we offer, or being constantly present or being constantly busy. These are the places where we hold a lot of pain and worry and fear. And a lot of times we're taught this by our larger culture, by the adults around us when we're very, very small. So Five of Pentacles is about healing generational trauma around being cut off from beauty and well-being, as well as the trauma we may carry within ourselves about what we feel we are not allowed to enjoy in life. And so it is a deeper card, Gemini, but I think the point being here that this is a time to reconnect with yourself and know you're allowed to be held by something bigger. And it's going to be a beautiful Gemini season. Hello, beautiful Cancer. Some of my favorite people in the universe, some of my favorite teachers, nurturers, just beings of existence. I love you so much. You know this. So happy birthday, my Cancer family. What a special, special time of year. when I felt through your energy, I was realizing, there's a lot of energy moving through Gemini at the beginning of June, as always, with the sun. Mercury rejoins Gemini, Venus will join Gemini. And this is all 12th house energy for Cancerians. So very, very spiritual. So much about listening into the hidden, unseen world inside of us, the beautiful world inside of us that is longing to be expressed and connected in this world. And it's a really, really essential part, I think, of living a meaningful life, right? Is being able to somehow express this unseen world in the physical world. So that theme's going to be coming up a lot, especially in the lead up to your season. And then, of course, we move into your season and we move into that nice flow and the solstice and this really wonderful time of connection and clarity. Neptune will go retrograde in your fellow water sign Pisces this month, which actually is going to help you have an easier time seeing the big picture. There is also a full moon in your 6th house in Sagittarius this month, which is going to be very helpful in illuminating how you want to do your day-to-day routines and activities. This is all about the big picture, Cancer. This is all about your bigger knowing. And it's that bigger knowing that can sometimes be a little ineffable, a little diaphanous, because you don't know all the hows yet. You don't know the nice, tidy, linear, this, but you just know something. And I want to just take a moment to really acknowledge that is valid. And this is a great, great season for you in general to listen to that, incorporate that, really, really, really work with it. So because there's a big picture that's really wanting to be illuminated at this time, and that is going to keep kind of showing you pieces of the larger tapestry. So some of the questions that came to mind with me within this is, what is your knowing when it comes to life? What things do you just know somehow? Sometimes you just know something is meant for you, or a little piece will come in and you're just like, yes, I know that. Give that time to be heard this month and really take your time to hear it. This is a great month to take notes when you hear something come up. What unknowns are you wanting help or guidance with? Can you make some spaciousness to help allow that in? I think while you're going to be getting some of those knowings, there's also a lot of things in your life you probably just wish you could know how it's going to work out. So this is also a great time to make some space to allow something bigger than you to hold you and help you, as well as others around you to hold you and help you, to soothe that part of you that is in the unknown. And then finally, what is longing for shift and an opening in your life? There may be something that you feel like is just ready for a shift and that you can kind of feel happening internally at this time. And just taking a little time to really listen to that and pay attention. That's the focus here. I think in general, following your intuition, using the gifts and talents that you are given with your Cancerian energy is really, really crucial here. It's how you're going to find so much beauty, synchronicity, and magic this month. And I think there's going to be a lot of that happening for you. Page of Wands. Fire. So new initiations. For me, the Page of Wands is an initiator. He comes in to begin a new cycle and to give us a spark of life about something. And this is that knowing. This is that playful knowing about something that is meant for you. So there will be a lot of signs and signals helping you to show you that. A lot of the calls are going to be coming from inside the house. But as always, when we have calls coming from in the house, a lot of times we'll be walking around and things will be connecting with us. So just enjoying the magic level of this world and getting back in touch with that is a really, really big part of this beginning to Cancer season and the prelude to Cancer season as well. I just love sitting with your energy. It makes me so happy. And like I said, happy birthday to you Cancers who are born in June and even July. We'll include you all. I hope you have a beautiful beginning to your season. Leo Pride, as always, such a good feeling to come home to my natal energy and obviously yours as well if you're sitting here. I am so intrigued by June for Leos because there's something going on here with you understanding who you're becoming at like a really, really deep level. And this has been something that's been a theme coming up again and again for the last like year or so. But it's really, really here. There are new things, there are new aspects of yourself that are coming up. And I think this is the crucial part. Post eclipse season with our fellow fixed signs going through, has been really, really intense for the fixed signs. This month, it's like, yeah, you might be processing the past and releasing a lot, but you're also really starting to understand who you are outside of your conditioning, outside of your family history, outside of the generational trauma. One of the core things about Leo energy is this is about like finding that spark that's our own spirit. Yes, we are connected to, all our generations and our lineage and the world that we live in, but we also come into the world with our own spark. And that is something important for Leos that Leos explore throughout their lives. And as we release the past and as we process and as we go through something as powerful as the recent eclipse season, when we start to release some of that, we start to get more and more in touch with that kind of that inner spark, that inner flame, that beautiful soul, that beautiful spirit that is here to express and create. And that is exactly what June is going to help Leos do. It's going to help us get more in touch with that part of ourselves that is just true and free and bright and wild. Because, we have things going on. Gemini season is very in flow, very playful, very connective. For Leos is a really, really good energy for creativity, for creative thinking, for thinking outside the box. We do have Saturn moving retrograde in Aquarius, our opposing sign. And I know we hear a lot, if you're a Leo and you kind of follow stuff, whenever they say that Saturn's going to be opposing you, that it's going to be a hard time. But mostly what I think about Saturn opposing us in Aquarius is this is just a time where we are stripping back away the things that just do not bring us joy. If it's not bringing us joy, we are not going to like force ourselves through it. We're not going to use our willpower against ourselves in that way anymore. And that's a big part of June. We also have a full moon in Sagittarius in the 5th house, which is going to be so much about re-accessing that beautiful heart energy that is Leo at such a core level. And let's get into the questions that came up for me. So, are you allowing yourself to grow and change the way that wants to come out of you? I think when we are starting to access our truest spark spirit, it's very vulnerable, it's very exciting, it's also kind of unstoppable, but sometimes we're trying to shove it back in. I know I'm going through a little bit of this right now in my life, absolutely. So we want to just like soften and release a little bit. Notice if you're creating enough spaciousness to let that spark have some moments in the sun. What is asking for release and compassion at this time? I think while we are accessing our spark, we are still going to be doing that releasing, and this is a really great time to do that. And also, what creative sparks are starting to make their presence known? Just take a moment to note these out, note these down when they're coming through, because it can really help you to understand kind of the pattern of how your own innate creative spark is wanting to be expressed in the world. The Magician. Yes. Hell yes. I love this. Okay. So, creator, player. I mean, player in the nice way, like we're playing in the world. What's that creative spark that is just wanting to come through? When I see the Magician, what I see is somebody who is in alignment, right? So they're letting that life force move through them. So they are not super rigid, but they are present. They are here. They are showing up. They are allowing it to move through them and animate them almost, without their logical mind or their force of will doing it. And that's what it's all about. So Magician, bring on the magic, Leos. I just love seeing Leos thrive. It's one of my favorite things in life. So I love you all so much. Have a beautiful June. Hello, Virgo friends and family. As a Virgo moon, this is always such a personal space and energy to explore together for me. This is a really cool June in so many ways. I mean, one of the things that stuck out to me right away is that Jupiter and Mars are over there in Aries. And especially if you're a Virgo rising, this is going to be a time of transformation and release and processing. And one of the crucial parts of June for me is that we are being asked to process and release and shake off any old hauntings, any old ghosts, any old conditionings that cannot come with us into the future. Gemini energy in general, as a fellow mutable sign, this energy is really highlighting for Virgos how Virgos want to show up in the world, how you want to like walk into a room and what you want that to mean and be for you. And I think that so often that kind of who I am in the world, the reputation I have in the world is so tied and like bundled up with our conditioning and with our past traumas and with the generational things that are handed down to us and just cultural conditioning in general. And so this really interesting mix of energy is happening here in June for Virgos that's about releasing some of that conditioned way that we think we need to show up in this world and make our impact in this world, and allow ourselves to just be more what it is that wants to come up and be with us. And so one of the crucial things about this month is going to be taking some time to process and release any of those old conditioned beliefs about what it means to show up in the world and what that looks like for you. And then allowing parts of yourself perhaps to show up in the world that before may have been felt like shaming or embarrassing or like something you wanted to keep locked inside, even though it felt really true and real for you. In your opposing sign, Neptune is going to go retrograde at the end of the month, and this is going to help you see clearly how you want to connect with others and how you want to move through the world. So this is potent stuff. Some of the questions that came up for me when I looked through this energy for Virgos is, what is longing to be released and let go of at this time? What do you just feel like you do not want to carry with you anymore? You just want to shake it out. This is a great time to do physical processing of that, as well as journaling and exploring. What is it that you can feel is starting to come together and appear on the horizon? This is the other part of it, because Virgos, you are going to notice there are certain elements, ingredients calling to you, enticing you, starting to wake up and cause little tingles and little sprinkles to be moving in the world. Are there any gifts or insights that are wanting to be shared with your community and the world right now, but you keep feeling like you have to wait for the right time? This magical, mystical right time over there to do it. This is going to be a big theme for Virgos. Nine of Wands came out as your card. This is going to be a big theme for Virgos, this whole idea of the right time for you to share, your truest self, and to kind of question that and see if you can start to maybe do little bits of sharing where that longing is calling to you. So Nine of Wands is the world-weary warrior. That is what I have nicknamed him. This is the energy of the guard that is keeping guard on something. This one really reminds me of trauma, because it's that part of ourselves that's constantly trying to control and keep ourselves safe from bad things happening. So they stay on guard, even though the battle is over. And, there's nervous system nerding out we could do here about how our brains and our bodies keep the score, keep a record of things that have happened in order to keep us biologically, physically safe. But Nine of Wands, when it shows up, this means it's a time to process and to take care of the parts of ourselves that are still on high alert and still trying to keep control of our lives so that we can access our true, playful, creative selves. So you're just being invited, like I said, to shake off the ghosts from the past, literally shaking them through, letting them leave so that you can be the bold, bright, beautiful, shiny, sparkly, creative Virgos that you are. And I love you so much. Beautiful Libran friends, hello. This is such a cool symbolic month for Librans, the way that it just came across. I got this really strong visual of it being like you start off underground, like a little seed or something like that, germinating in the soil in the darkness, and then you coming up and then blooming like a flower. And throughout the month of June, that process just happening really, really naturally and gorgeously, because we start off the month with a lot of energy still in Taurus, actually. Venus, Mercury, and Uranus are all going to be working in Taurus, which for Librans is so much about transformation and kind of sitting with the internal shadow work and exploring the subconscious and the parts of ourselves that aren't out there in the big world. But very quickly, those energies, Venus and Mercury, are going to start moving into Gemini, your fellow air sign, starting to give life and animation to your bigger goals, your bigger vision, how you want to play and explore and experience this world. And then, we start to shift into Cancerian energy and like your purpose in life. So as we move through this month, it's just going to get more and more vibrant and alive. Saturn will be going retrograde in your 5th house in your fellow sign of Aquarius, but this is a great time to reassess what actually brings you to life, what actually makes you bloom, and to kind of just notice what creative, inspired actions you want to take and which ones are kind of outdated and don't really fit who you are truly in this moment. And I want you Librans, as the month continues and as you start to notice your energy opening more and more and more, to take in the wider horizon, like the bigger horizon around you. Like, don't stay too hyper focused on too many details right now. Zoom your eyesight out to the big wider horizon and notice the parts that are coming in, because there's an invitation here this time of year for Librans to do that kind of bigger, soft focus, allowing information to come in. So bloom like that beautiful flower. Here are some of the questions that came up when I felt through your energy. How can you make space to ensure you're caring for any tender or tired parts of yourself? So the beginning of this month is a time to take care of the tender parts of the subconscious parts of yourself, anything that needs some processing and some release. What would happen if you put down any areas of control and concern and took a moment to just see the world with fresh eyes? So take off some of that rigidness, take off some of those pressures. What happens then? What do you see then? 2 cards wanted to come out. I'll show them to you. Ooh, the World and the 4 of Wands. And then I'm going to ask one more question and we'll talk about those 2 cards. Finally, try to see things in your daily world you normally wouldn't notice, and keep that practice going for bigger and bigger and bigger things throughout the month. So you can start off by just your daily walk or even your apartment, just looking out for little details, because what we're here to do, Libra, is like find that treasure map of all the things that are calling to you and inviting you into that blooming process. Now, you got some pretty big cards. These are culmination cards. The World and the 4 of Wands are about a gift, something culminating, something coming full circle. That's the best way that I can put this. And that can range from something really, really big. 4 of Wands represents kind of the concept of a wedding or a graduation. The World is also graduation energy. You can be graduating from an energetic cycle. You can be graduating from a program. I mean, it's June after all, right? You can be graduating from like a personal goal. You can also feel like you are just starting to see the seeds of a new era starting for you. So these are very supportive cards. And there's a lot of emphasis in general right now on who we're becoming and who we are right now in the present, and being less muffled by all the old generational stuff that's holding us. So there's a big emphasis on the here and the now. I hope you have a beautiful June. Hello, beautiful Scorpio. So we just moved through a pretty big eclipse season, I would say, and that total lunar eclipse in your sign was pretty personal, and I think all of us felt its reverberations. So June is important because this is going to be a time for understanding what that's meaning for you. What all of this is meaning for you. The South Node in your sign, exploring who you're becoming. I think also Gemini season is a season of transformation for you. So as more energy pours into Gemini throughout the month of June, Mercury and the Sun and Venus are all going to take their turn moving through Gemini this month. This is a time where you're getting kind of used to who you're becoming, honestly. Getting a sense of who you are right now and what that looks like and what that means. What are your anchor points? What are your guideposts? What are the things that help you get a sense and a map of being here in this physical world? Getting acclimatize to the new energetic environments you're around and the new energetic seasons you may be in. I think it's important to take time whenever we're going through a lot of shifts to make sure that we are allowing it to really anchor in and root through. If you are feeling lower energy, it's because a lot of times we're doing deeper processing. So just make sure, Scorpios, my beautiful tender hearts, that you are making space to process and to take in all that new information. It's almost like learning a new language sometimes when we are growing and changing very quickly. And when we are learning a new language of any kind, learning a new skill set, learning a new physical thing, we need time to allow our brains to create new circuitry, to allow our muscles to rebuild in new ways. It's just the same thing with any kind of energetic mental thing as well. So I just want to make sure you have that space to do that. As we move into Cancer season, the energy starts to flow really nicely here with you as well, and helps you to see an expanded picture of where it is you are heading, get a sense of the bigger picture, what is calling to you, where you are headed. It's like being on the top of a hill and being able to take in the entire landscape. So just take your time as you move through Gemini season and move into Cancerian season, but really this is a time to anchor into who you are now and really honor that you might have changed a little bit in the last even 6 months. What I thought would be really cool with the questions for you all this month is to kind of just take a moment to really honor everything you've done, everything you've grown and learned and experienced. So what are some of the ways you've grown this year? Just write those out, say them to yourself, however you want to do it. What are the things that you notice you've been healing and evolving? I think probably a lot of you have healed and evolved so many things that now seem innate, but that probably need a moment of recognition. What new skills or ideas have you developed in these recent weeks? What new perspectives and information have you kind of come in contact with? And I just want you to take a moment to notice all of those things, really honor how you've changed and grown so that you can move forward in your life, so that you can be with your evolution and feel like you're in a co-conspirator with it and not just getting whipped around, and understanding that, a lot of times the things that we don't take a moment to acknowledge are sometimes some of the biggest things. 5 of Wands came out as your card. Very interesting. This is a card of conflict. And a lot of times I find 5 of Wands to be a healthy conflict. This is the conflict that's something that needs to be addressed. And a lot of times I find 5 of Wands is a lot more about the conflicts we have inside of ourselves. There may be a part of you that's feeling more reserved, more like wants to hold on to what you've had before, and another part of you that wants to burn it to the ground, and they may be a little tense right now. So it's important to sit with both sides of these parts of yourself, the part of yourself that may hold back, the part of yourself that wants to move forward, and make sure they're each getting their turn, and to maybe work on figuring out how they can work together so that you can transform and move forward in your life in a way that feels healthy and sustainable. If this applies to something outside of just your internal system, just know that this 5 of Wands for me is always something that we want to express and connect with. So keeping that in mind can really help. And this is often something that once the tension is resolved, we feel so much better. We feel so much clearer. We feel so much more connected to the people around us and with ourselves. So it's a card of truth. I hope you have a beautiful June, my gorgeous, tender Scorpio hearts. Hello, gorgeous Sagittarius family. I am always so excited to connect with your energy. You know how I feel about you. So June is such a dynamic and potent part of the year for Sagittarius. A lot of energy is moving through your opposing sign of Gemini. We have the sun, of course, moving through Gemini most of the month. We have Venus moving through Gemini later in the month. Mercury joins Gemini about the middle of the month. So we're doing a lot of this kind of looking at our lives from new angles and exploring and kind of just getting curious and playful about it. This is also very supportive, connective, dynamic energy for you. And then we move through into Cancer season, which is a season of transformation and changing dynamics for Sagittarius family. We also have Jupiter and Aries moving through your fellow fire sign of Aries this month. Jupiter and Mars moving through Aries, yes. And that is going to be so creative and so playful and fun and light. Now, here's the thing. This is all also very vulnerable, because the message that came through was that this is about lighting up your beacon light, putting on your beacon light, your lighthouse, your bat signal, whatever it is, that allows others to see you for who you are, the unique way you laugh and move through the world. Now, this is very vulnerable because it means that you don't have like a version of yourself that you can put forward that's just extroverted or fun or all the expectations that people may have of a Sag in their lives, but that you bring whatever ingredients it is that make you into the table of life. But this is what happens. You're going to notice that you're connecting with people who are more truly connected to you. And this is where the excitement of that beacon light is just so powerful. And this is what June's really about for the Sag family, is going to be about exploring what it feels like to move through the world with your beacon light on, with your bright, unique light, however that lights up the world, however that lights you up showing. So some of the questions that come up with that are, how do you feel about how you are changing and growing? Check in and notice, if you are shining your beacon light and walking around, how does that make you feel? Is it loud? Is it a little overwhelming sometimes? Maybe how you're changing and growing? Is it some of it really exciting and you want to do it? Is some of it a little comfortable? Is some of it kind of like ambiguous, like you're not sure? Are you having fun with this change? And it's really exciting and great, or are you tired? You might find you're asking questions about that. Just check in with how you're changing. Also, what are you allowed to let go of control about? What identities and masks and weights are you just carrying around trying to keep control of yourself, of your life, that you may be able to put down? Kind of take an assessment. There may be things that you check a whole bunch of times. If you check your email, or, you may have routines where you feel like you have to stay in charge of something. This is going to be a great season to let that go and just trust more in your presence here in the here and now, as a gateway through which all the good things can happen, and also things will get done. And I think we don't trust our innate essence and our just being here now to be able to get everything done for us and with us. And that's because we've been culturally conditioned not to trust ourselves and to punish ourselves and to force ourselves through a lot of stuff. Queen of Pentacles came out. Very interesting. So, she is a nurturer. She is, to me, the grounding principle of, meditation, of calming our nervous system, of self-mothering. And I find that really interesting in light of what we've just been talking about with you having your beacon light on. This is a reminder that you can have your beacon light on. You can be exploring how you are changing. You can be putting down the heavy weights. You can be just trying to be present in the present moment. That's going to require that you definitely self-mother and give yourself times of nurturance and safety and reset in between all of that shining bright Sagittarius, because we both know you need that. You may shine bright. You may be funny. You may be amazing to be around. You may be social. You may have all of these talents, gifts, and skills. And we all know Sages need some really good rest, some really good care, and moments of reset, because a lot of you are actually quite introverted. So have a beautiful June, and take care of yourself. Shine that bright light. I want to find your light and say, hey. Beautiful, beautiful Capricorns. It has been such a wild ride hanging out with you for all these years. And one of the things that I really like about June is this idea of anchoring in to wherever we are right now and helping ourselves kind of find some centeredness in that, so that we can move forward in this life with joy and curiosity and all those good things that we're always, I think, longing for in our spirits. So Gemini season is a really interesting time for you, because this is a really great time to refine your rituals and routines in the day to day. So often we just kind of we do the things the way that we do them. We don't think about it too much. So this Gemini season in the early part of June is going to be wonderful for you to just kind of tweak it, play with it, have fun with it. Maybe even add in some more ritual, some more intention setting, some more like little sacred spaces, just even for 2 or 3 minutes here or there. That's really going to amplify you getting in touch with yourself, anchoring into how you are changing and growing and where you are right now. Because we did just go through a very powerful eclipse season, and we are still kind of adjusting to a lot of new energies, including things like Jupiter newly in Aries this June. Cancer season is going to follow up Gemini season for you Capricorns. This is your opposing sign. And as energy starts to pour more and more into Cancer, and we have the new moon in Cancer and all of that, you are going to be asked to allow others to help you. And that can be other people, giving you resources or helping you out. This is also about receiving help from the universe and feeling like you don't have to do everything on your own in an isolated kind of self-structured manner, but that you are allowed to kind of relax and release into some bigger trust and trusting yourself more. So those are going to be some of the big practices. Jupiter and Mars in Aries, it's a fellow fixed sign, and this is going to also be challenging you to work on your home a little bit. And I don't mean necessarily home improvement as much as get rid of old energy in that home. Clear out the corners energetically, clear out the old junk drawer, clear out the things that are holding you to a past. This is a really, really great time to do that, along with, like I said, upping or like changing out your routines and your rituals and adding some magic into the day to day. So some of the questions that came up with this in mind are the daily routines and schedules you have, are they serving you now? Do they feel good? Where is there a part of the day where you feel like really sluggish, really unmotivated? Is there a way that you can either give yourself the downtime you need, or change what it is that you're doing in that time, switch things around, help yourself out, just by starting to kind of rank what feels good and what doesn't and start to move the puzzle pieces around. Are there aspects of your routine that would be liberating to let go of completely? And can you let yourself entertain the thought that possibly it's okay to let them go? High Priestess came out. Can you let yourself imagine shifts in your home and your routine that would give you light, peace, ease? We often think, well, if I just did the routine that would give me light and peace and ease, then I'm being selfish, I'm being impractical, I'm not going to be able to support other people. But if we don't even let ourselves entertain the notion of what those ingredients are, we're really shutting ourselves off from some deeper knowing. So it's important to just even have the fun of the daydream. High Priestess. Speaking of the daydream, the High Priestess is an initiator of the spiritual, and she often shows up when we're needing to listen to our intuition a little bit more deeply, where we need to look less at the constantly tallying up all the things that we're observing right now in the physical to show us that we're worth it or not, and to listen to something else inside that's not visible right here in this moment that we can feel. So when you're getting this card, it means it's time to listen a little bit more and slow down. And that's it. So I hope you have a beautiful June, my wonderful Capricorn friends. I really do wish you all just a lot of comfort and peace, and just being able to share your good humor and all your beautiful gifts and talents with the world. I love you. Aquarius, my friends, my deep teachers, my inspiration in life. I love you so much, and I love your energy so much. And this is a really dynamic and interesting part of the year in general for everyone. Of course, Gemini season is going to flow really well with you. There's so much creative energy there where it's about, what makes your heart just light up. The thing that made me think about with all that energy moving through Gemini this month is this is like a time where you may be developing some new skill sets or getting curious about things that really surprise you, like you did not see that coming. doing. You did not see yourself getting very interested in this other art form or this other type of dance or this very specific topic that you're just loving researching just for the fun of it. So give yourself some space to do that, and make sure you're letting yourself do that, because there are some clues in there that want to be heard during this time. The other thing that's going on, of course, is when we get into Cancer season, we're going to be working more with how you schedule your routine, how you motivate yourself, and is it working for you? And if you want to change that around, this is a great time to do that. One of the other big things that's happening this month for you specifically is that Saturn in your sign will go retrograde. And for me, this is just going to be a time where you can explore self-parenting and what that looks like. It kind of ties back to what I was saying about what motivates you. You know, a lot of times our inner parenting, depending on who we are, we're going to have different types of inner parents that reflect our culture and how we were raised, and that can widely vary. But if we have an inner parent that is doing things to force us to be motivated, to punish us, belittle us, shame us, one thing I will say with Saturn retrograde in your sign is this is a great time to kind of start to develop an inner parent for yourself. The one that you want to have, the one that nourishes and supports you and is curious and wants to be curious with you and wants to look over your shoulder at the books you're reading and the things you're doing. So this is just a really healing time for you to really be in your own corner and really believe in your own special magic and take the time to do that. We've just been through a very intense eclipse season and shifting of energies. We're in kind of this new energetic phase. And so it's important that we are developing some skills now to take with us as we keep moving forward. And you are meant to be playing and creating. There's some beautiful things that want to come out. So we want to make sure you're getting the nourishment from within. So here are some questions that came up with all of this in mind. How do you want to treat yourself in your day-to-day routine? You know, do you want to add more play, more rest, more connection, more activity? What is your dream mundane day like right now for who you are in this moment? And don't cut yourself off at the knees. Let yourself dream the dream. Right now, it may be that you just don't want to do much. You want to do like one thing, and then you want to sit there in the quiet. You may also be craving like fun and connection. So whatever it is, let yourself hear that. Can you set aside some time every day to get curious and explore what is giving you that tingly creative feeling? I feel like just giving yourself 30 minutes to read about that topic that's so interesting, to do that thing that makes you just light up. Make sure you're doing it. Like I said, there are clues to that, to what's coming up for you next within that tingly, curious place. Also, here's the final thing. This is one of my favorite ones to work with. Can you take off some of the pressure for making things happen on time and in a specific way, and just make more space for rest and play, and trust that that is also doing something powerful and meaningful? Three of Swords. So, June in general, it is a month where we are being asked to get really present with ourselves here and now and to help heal any of our past traumas. Isn't that always the theme? Welcome to life, 365. 24/7. No, just kidding. But Three of Swords is about a pattern repeating that hurts. And this can, of course, like a lot of times that will show up in our lives in like relationships or, other more dramatic places. But I think sometimes with Three of Swords, the patterns that repeat that are hurting, like just stabbing us, have to do with self-parenting, have to do with just how we treat ourselves on a typical day. And a lot of times with Three of Swords, we're being invited to really look at those places where we just shut down our intuition, we push down what we really need because we feel we have to be a certain way, and to really look at that and maybe give ourselves the grace to let go and do it differently. So Three of Swords is about paying attention where we pinch ourselves in like a really uncomfortable, painful way over and over again, and then making space for what it is we would rather be doing with our energy. So don't let it freak you out too much, Aquarius. It's going to be a beautiful month, and I'm so excited to see what you create and play with at this time. Hello, my beautiful Pisces hearts. I love being with your energy so much. I jive with it so well. It's just like such a good feeling to be here. So the first thing that came to mind when I felt through your energy was just thinking about how Jupiter just recently left your sign in May, and I feel like this is a really great time to kind of think about what you've already learned from Jupiter in your sign and kind of how that worked with you and some of the things it brought up for you in the process. Jupiter is going to join you for a couple more months at the end of this year, so we're not quite done with that process, but I do think this is a great time to honor whatever it is that you did learn from the beginning of this year until May. This is also, Gemini season is really interesting. It's going to be very helpful for you if you are just to clean out spaces in your home, little places that have collected maybe a little bit of energy, a little bit of fluff balls of energy that need to be kind of swept out. This is a really, really great time to go through and comb through and really curate your space and clear and simplify there so that it can reflect where you're headed next, because these two things are very intertwined. Then as we move into Cancer season, of course, and the energy starts to flow into another water sign, this is going to be so good for your heart and for expansiveness and creativity. Finally, there's one big thing happening this month at the end of the month, which is Neptune, who is with you and is your ruling planet, is going to go retrograde in your sign. And for me, this can help us clarify what it is. For you, all of these things that I've just mentioned, it all kind of boils down to one essential theme, which is that this is a time where you can really clarify what it is your soul is longing for from here. You know, we have longings throughout our lives, and they change and they morph and they grow and they shift. And right now there are some new longings, some new fresh little sprigs of curiosity that are starting to burgeon. So this is a really great time to listen into those longings as you clear out old energy in your home space, and as you start maybe playing with some new creative projects, and as you reflect. So here are some of the questions that came up for me when I was looking at your energy, Pisces. What would feel good to shift, clear out, or change in your home environment? Like, what would be so fun? Sometimes it's fun to just rearrange the furniture just purely for a change in perspective. So what would be fun if you could have it your way that you would just shift or clear out? What gifts or knowledge have you developed over the last 5 months that you can start to utilize in your life trip? Because I guarantee you have gained some kind of wisdom or tool set or skill that is now ready to be brought into the world and shared. And finally, what new dreams are starting to come to life in your heart? There are dreams there. And we just need a little bit of listening, a little bit of spaciousness, and a lot of times we'll hear such good information. And we may have been hearing it for a while, but kind of, not right now. This is a great time to, yes, now, listen to those longings and give them some space. 5 of Cups. Okay. One thing I'm noticing with this reading is it's kind of a mixed bag, but half of the readings are having, cards that have to do with release and healing. And for me, 5 of Cups is just that. For me, 5 of Cups is the image of the bridge between the depth of feeling and grief and the joy of life, and how these two things are interlinked. This is a really beautiful time if you are having, as you're cleaning your home, or as you're getting creative, or as you're noticing your new longings, sometimes that can rustle up also the people we have been, the places we have been, the things that used to give us life and vibrancy. And the 5 of Cups is that space where we allow that to happen. We allow that to move through us so that we can also be present with the longings that are awakening in us. And this is one of my favorite energies. It's one that's been really castigated by society, and we've kind of made it taboo and something that we want to avoid. But this for me is like the sweet spot of life. This is the beauty of life. In our releasing, we're making space for beautiful things. We're expanding our hearts. We're expanding actually our creative capacity. So, and I trust Pisces to be able to navigate those waters really, really elegantly and beautifully, because I've seen it happen so many times. And don't let 5 of Cups make you think that June is going to be a time of just grief and sorrow. But what it is a time of anchoring into understanding who we are now, and how that how we've changed and how we've grown. And that does come with releasing some emotions around how that feels as we keep growing and expanding. But I do hope you have a beautiful, playful, curious June, my beautiful Pisces friends. All right, we just hung out, all 12 signs. That was such a fun ride to go through all of that with you. I'm so intrigued and curious about this June and everything it's going to bring us. Just opened my heart to sit there and feel through every single one of those energies. Wow. I would love to continue this journey with you all. I'm going to keep sharing about how I'm going through some of this change and transition and handling it, and the good days and the bad days. So I'd love if you subscribe, hang out. We are doing some really cool things over on Patreon as well. So I would really love to see you there. I will leave the link below so you know how to get in touch. We hang out every single week and it's such an awesome community. And of course you can find me on Instagram, my website, my email. So I'm going to leave all those goodies below so you know where to find me, where to hang out with me, where to explore more of this magic. Just thank you all so much for your presence here. I was talking to Sag in the readings today about shining your beacon light, and I think as I do that, I just appreciate the people who are here with me so much. Like, how cool that we can all be here and that we can share our journey together. So thank you so much, and I just hope you all have a really beautiful June as we head into some new waters and explore who we are becoming. Talk to you so soon, my friends.